What's up, guys? Welcome into NBA DFS Live for Wednesday, March 17th. I'm your host, Ben Husser, joined by Justin Bales. Bales, we got a crazy NBA slate tonight. Tons of injuries that we can talk about. Before we get into things, we do need to plug the Bet Karma March Madness package. It's $39. Get access to Bales' bracket. So he has his optimal bracket and then his high upside bracket. And then you also get access to our other analyst Dom's brackets as well. You get all of their betting picks for every round, and then you get obviously access to some articles as well. So $39. I will be tailing these bets throughout the tournament. I would highly suggest you guys heading over there and picking that up if you're interested. And also, we did a Bales, myself, and Rube did a little March Madness preview. It's up on the YouTube channel as well. You can go watch that. I would suggest just throwing it on as you're making your brackets because we kind of went through each region. So hopefully that helps you guys out. So go check those out. And now we can get into some NBA. Dude, there's so many injuries today. I think this is going to be a little bit of a quicker rundown here. I think if you guys have questions, drop them into chat. Bales has chat pulled up. So injury-wise, Kemba Walker, Tristan Thompson, both out for the Celtics. Both Victor Oladipo, John Wall out for the Rockets. Both Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving out for the Nets. Joel Embiid is still out for the 76ers. DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge are both out for the Spurs. Jimmy Butler is questionable. All of the Raptors guys, except for Anunoby, are questionable. So when I say Raptors guys, the guys that have been out for COVID, so Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, are questionable. And then Serge Ibaka is questionable. I wanted to include that just because Zubac, I think, would be interesting if he starts again. So, I mean, that's just a lot going on here. So we have a lot to dive into. We have some really good games. We'll start at point guard. Everyone is going to be starting with James Harden against the Indiana Pacers. Bales, is there any reason not to play him in your main lineup tonight?
No, I feel like he's the pretty obvious choice. I guess the only thing that I would say is that Russell Westbrook is also in just an elite matchup. So he's 500 cheaper. I just can't imagine that you're really going to be playing him over Harden without Irving.
Yeah, Russ is definitely up there. Definitely interesting. He's projecting really well. We have him at an 8 value score, which is really good. So he's definitely a good play. And that Washington-Sacramento game is probably the best game on the slate. So I have no issues with playing Russ. But Harden is definitely the best play there. Outside of him, we could drop down a little bit. There's a glaring value at point guard, which we'll talk about once again on DK. But in the upper mid tier, and then any of these other studs, like who else do you like? Like Simmons obviously still gets a bump with no Embiid, but he does have a matchup against Milwaukee. You have like De'Aaron Fox on the other side of that Washington game, Curry, a bunch of guys, LaMelo Ball. Like, who do you like outside of Russ and Harden today?
Yeah, I think another guy you can pay up for is Luka Doncic. I don't really ever have any issues playing him, literally ever. I'm never going to try to talk you off of him. Outside of that, I think Curry is probably the most interesting. And then I would drop down a little. DeJounte Murray, Malcolm Brogdon, Kevin Porter Jr. with no Oladipo, and Wall still hurt all makes sense. I think that's probably it. And then, we have a guy under 4K that I'm sure you would like to talk about. You played him last night. That is very clearly the value for a point guard tonight.
Yeah, I do want to mention. So I was gonna save Kevin Porter Jr. On DK, but I mean he's gonna be. We haven't projected 34% owned. I don't know, man. I mean
That seems high
it does
because
seem
they
high, but I mean with those guys out and everyone's been playing him because he was really cheap at first. So
well, the problem is they took away his shooting guard eligibility.
yeah,
So you're playing Harden, right? And then you're obviously playing Satoransky, who are both strictly point guards, which means that you're then playing Kevin Porter in utility. And I feel like for 35%, that seems a little high.
Yeah, it might be a little bit high. He was really high owned last night, man. That's really what screwed me. I made a 2v2 switch on my DraftKings lineup last night and it didn't work out. I don't know. I didn't have him, which he was like 41% or so in cash. So I
Yeah, it's
think
pretty.
he'll
I
be
guess
yeah, he'll be high tonight, man, for
he'll be
sure.
owned. I just,
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably playing those two, and then yeah, like you said, Thomas Satoransky. I don't know what's up with DraftKings, but they just don't want to move his price up. You know, he's been starting for the Bulls. He's went 33 and 31 DraftKings points his last two games, 26, and he played 31 minutes last night. I don't understand why he's 3,800, but he is. So you're just gonna take that free square in cash and move on.
Yep, 100% agree. I think. No. I was gonna say another really cheap guy that you can consider is Jeff Teague if he's gonna get around 20 minutes tonight, but I don't know. I don't really see any reason to do that.
Yeah, do you have anyone in like the mid tier? I think Tyrese Halliburton's interesting at 5,500, just given that matchup against Washington, but that's definitely a tournament only play for me. And then you still have Derek White there for 5,400 with DeRozan out. Didn't have a great game in that last one, but he still played 24 minutes. Good matchup against Chicago.
Yeah, I'm fine with either of them. I think realistically, if you want to take a shot on like DeLone Wright, he's still underpriced a little bit, or Dante DiVincenzo at 5'2" is a little cheap, but I don't really like guys that play Philly. So DiVincenzo probably won't make the cut for me, but I do think that he's a reasonable tournament option.
Yeah, pretty much agree. Pretty tight pool for me for point guard. I mean, we didn't really mention Luka, but he's going to be in play for me. But I just won't end up on him in cash, I don't think. But he's completely fine play, always.
I agree there.
All right, shooting guard, Bradley Beal at the top 9,300. I really have no problems with Bradley Beal, honestly. If you want to play him, I don't know if I'll end up playing him like in cash games, but I think he's fine. I do want to mention Karis LeVert 6,800 on DraftKings. He's like 44, 4,500 on FanDuel, so you're just locking him in on FanDuel today.
Yeah, so stupid. That is, it's as bad as the Satoransky price on DraftKings.
Yeah, it's really bad. What are you doing with the shooting guard position? I do think, like I don't know, like Marcus Smart, I think is interesting in tournaments with Kemba out. I don't know if we can really trust the minutes at the moment, but he's been good when Kemba's out. So I think for tournaments that's interesting. Obviously, Derek White's right there, who we just talked about. Halliburton's right there, who I just talked about. But what do you like? Where are you going at this position overall?
I feel like I'm going to try to get to Beal because 93 is too cheap for him, and now he gets a matchup against Sacramento. I also think that if you're paying up Paul George at 79 is completely fine against Dallas. And then on the other side of the Sacramento game, I think that Buddy Hield at 64 is pretty nice for tournaments. I don't necessarily know if I think anyone really sticks out as like a lock for cash or anything. I think it's going to be kind of wide open. And, I really wish that some of the point guards that were just shooting guard eligible still were, but, at least DraftKings isn't letting you play literally anyone tonight. But then I'm fine with Andrew Wiggins at 57. I don't have any problems with Lonnie Walker at 4,000 against Chicago, I think is fine. And Josh Jackson at 51 against Toronto. No problems with him in tournaments either. But in terms of cash, I feel like I really want to get to Bradley Beal, but I would probably be fine with Paul George.
Yeah, I like the Jackson call. I do think he's interesting in tournaments. Yeah, I don't know. This might be the last position I filled, to be honest, because I don't really know what I want to do there. Moving on to small forward, I'll let you lead off here. I think obviously the Butler news is big because we've seen a couple times this season he's got ruled out kind of closer to lock, and that's kind of skewed ownership towards Miami when they really weren't being talked about all day. So I do think that's a big one, the fact that he's questionable. Simmons and Kawhi were kind of ones that stuck out to me. Obviously, like I said, Simmons gets a nice usage rate spike. Gets up to like 25, 26% with Embiid off the floor. And then Kawhi, not someone I typically play on DFS, but when you start talking about him at 8,700 on DK against Dallas, like that's definitely when I start to get interested.
Yeah, I think Kawhi's kind of going to be the guy here. I do think that there's other options depending on where you need to spend. I think that Jaylen Brown is more or less fine for 1,000 cheaper. Another guy that I actually really like that, I feel like is a little risky, but he's just way too cheap is Larry Nance Jr. at 4,700. His minutes look clear now that he's going to get 30 plus, and 47 is just so cheap for him.
Yeah, so like the Boston guys will definitely get some ownership with Kemba out, like 100%. We've seen that situation a ton as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kemba's out, and people just play both of them. If you're only picking one, do you prefer Tatum or Jaylen Brown?
I think probably Tatum, honestly, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
we have
I don't
we
think you
have
can go wrong.
Tatum projected obviously for more points, but Brown obviously is a better value because he's a little bit cheaper. Not sure if I'll play both, but I'll definitely probably play one of them. We'll see. And then Kawhi at 8,700 is just really interesting. I think it's just too cheap.
Yeah, it's
But
way too
I
cheap.
agree with Nance. I didn't want to play him last night against Miami, but with the Cavs injuries, I mean, Love is he just dust, man? I don't know if he's like going to be able to ever get back on the floor, man.
I have literally no clue what's going on with him. It's so crazy because he fell off so fast.
He fell off quick, man. Not good at all. Do you have anyone else you want to mention? Like, I think Jeremy Grant is fine in tournaments. That's someone that's better on FanDuel where he's power forward and you have to play two power forwards. But overall, where are you going like outside of those if you want to just get dart in tournaments?
I think Michael Porter Jr. is fine. I think Kelly Oubre is fine. Will Barton, I don't really have any issues with like Marcus Morris. That's probably, well, I guess I actually like Harrison Barnes a little bit too at 65. It's not too expensive for him in tournaments. That's probably about it though, I think.
Yep. Power forward, we have Giannis at 11K. I guess the question would be, are you going to play Giannis today?
What was that? You cut out.
Oh, are you playing Giannis?
I hate playing guys against Philly, and I actually don't think you have to play Giannis. I think you can play a guy like Rashawn Holmes, who's significantly cheaper, doesn't have the pure upside. But since you're already playing Harden, you're probably going to pay up for Kawhi. If not, you can use Bradley Beal. I don't think that you need to play Giannis now.
Yeah, I don't think you have to play him. I'll definitely play with some builds with him in. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see if we get some more value. Because you got to account for putting in Harden, like you said, and it's not one of those slates where we have the crazy value. Like we've had that a couple times where you could just play like three guys. Like I remember, like what was it? I don't know if it was late last week. You were just plugging in like three guys that were over 10K. It was crazy. But
it was amazing.
Yeah, those are the fun slates for sure. All right, outside of Giannis, where are you going to power forward? I think that I don't know. Like there's just spots that I really want to lock in today. Power forward really isn't one of them, unless you're using Tatum there, which obviously he has power forward.
I think it's pretty crazy because I think there's a lot of really good options, and you have guys like Holmes and Bielitsa for Sacramento. Daniel Tice, I'm not like overly interested in him, but I think he's fine for 41. Keldon Johnson, now that he's getting the minutes and gets Chicago at 51, I'm 100% fine with. Draymond Green, even Sabonis is now pretty cheap, gets Brooklyn. And then you have guys down under 6K at like Lauri Markkanen. I don't have any issues whatsoever with him in tournaments. In terms of cash, though, I feel like you probably want to go either Bielitsa or Rashawn Holmes and get some of the Sacramento exposure.
Yeah, I love Holmes today. So it was funny that game he really went crazy in their last game. Rube, myself, and Joey all played him in our core plays on the site. He was really low owned, so that really helped. I love him again today. I was saving him for. Wait, what did you say?
I also played him.
Oh my god! So literally all four of us played him.
Yeah, we all had him.
Yeah, so we were all in. I was saving him for center, but yeah, Bielitsa, I think he's gonna project for like premier value right now. We were just talking about how Whiteside hasn't played since late February. If he if like he's questionable for tonight, so you would assume eventually he's going to come back, right? I do think he affects Bjelica because Bjelica is basically playing backup to Rashawn Holmes right now. So if Whiteside's in, that is going to steal some minutes from him. So that's something that I want to wait and see on. But right now he is grading out, obviously, as really good value. Like your call on Laurie, I've kind of been riding him the last couple slates. I do think he's really good play at that price. That's just too cheap in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like Markkanen's kind of the Chicago guy that gets literally no respect, where a bunch of people are like, Chicago's got a bunch of up and comers, but not a single person talks about Markkanen, and it feels like he's kind of like one of the better options, you know.
I agree. Can I interest you in some Jeff Green for value?
I knew you were gonna do that. I don't hate it. I don't love it either though. So I feel like yeah, you can take the shot there if you want, but
Maybe
especially in
like
like
if Whiteside plays and you don't want to play Bjelica, you could use Jeff Green. I think maybe it'd be interesting.
I would probably just play Daniel Tice though, personally.
Yeah, Tice is honestly interesting. I didn't mention him. I know you did earlier, but yeah, I mean with Thompson out, I don't really have any issues playing him. 4,100 on DraftKings is way too cheap. Even though, like, I'm not expecting 39 DraftKings points again, but I
It's
wouldn't
just the fact that
mind.
he can do
Yeah,
it.
he can do it, and he's gonna have to play minutes now with Thompson out. So I don't have any problems with him in cash, honestly.
Yeah. That's fair. Actually, yeah, I'm pretty cool on him in cash too.
Yeah, that's just too cheap. All right, you have anyone else here? We'll just finish up with center.
Don't think we're good for center now.
All right, so obviously my two plays here are Nikola Jokic and Rashawn Holmes. Holmes we already talked about, but I would have been in on Holmes. Like I played Holmes in the last slate anyways, but now with Bagley out, that helps him even more. Joker is going to be tough to fit because you have Giannis and Harden, who we really want to play. But I mean, he's unfadable. Am I correct in that? Like you can't, like if you're playing more than one lineup, you can't not have any Joker exposure.
Yeah, I would try to get him in.
Yeah. So who do you like other than Holmes? Bam would get a huge bump if Butler's out at 8,400 though. I would be in on Bam if Butler's out at that price for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think he's great if Butler's in, but if Butler's out, I completely agree. I don't know. I feel like there's not that much that I absolutely love at center. I feel like if you want to go with someone in tournaments like Dwight Howard, who can score just a ridiculous amount in a very small amount of time, you can feel free to go there. Someone like James Weissman, I don't really have any problems with. Miles Turner against Brooklyn. You always like attacking centers against Brooklyn. Even like Jonas Valanciunas, I don't like the matchup against Miami, but their defense isn't nearly what it was, and Valanciunas is playing pretty well and just comes with an absurd ceiling for his price tag. So I feel like those are all guys that make reasonable options, but it's not like any of them are even really that close to Holmes or Joker. So I feel like you're kind of just going to plug one of those two in and move on, unless you are just trying to get like really weird.
Yeah, for tournaments, I like Time Lord at 5,600. Much better matchup than he had the other day against Utah. I'm fine going against the Cavs for sure. So I like him even though he's at 5,600. I like Weissman a lot. I'm glad you brought him up. 28 minutes in his last game. Hopefully they start to give him some more run here down the stretch. Kerr kind of talked about over the All-Star break how they just need to play him more minutes and they need to, get him experience. So I'm completely fine with that, especially against Houston. He's cheap, and then we have to add Zubac if if Serge Ibaka is out. Zubac I think is a really good play. So that's kind of my tournament tier. Zubac I think might be cash playable, like if we got the news early enough that Serge is out. But if
Yeah,
it's like after lock, I don't know. Like sometimes swapping is weird. It just depends kind of what your lineup looks like.
yeah, I agree with that. I think if we get the Ibaka news early, Zubac definitely can be used in cash. Like he's just way too cheap for what he can do in 30 minutes.
I agree. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, last minute questions, get those in. We will answer them. Bales, it is the time for a bold call for Wednesday night's NBA games.
Bold call for tonight. I'm gonna go Bradley Beal drops 50 or more real points.
Oh my lord! All right, a 50 bomb. 50 bomb for Beal. I notoriously called a 50 bomb from Jimmy Butler last week on this podcast. So now you're going back to the well with the 50 from Bradley Beal. I don't hate it. He definitely has it in the tank, especially with how he's been scoring and the matchup's good. So I don't hate it. My bold call is that I'm winning all of my bracket pools. So go to betkarma.com and buy the March Madness package. That is my bold call.
I like that call. I think that you will be wrong. I believe we are in. There's a free $1,000 Bet Karma or DFS Karma contest that me and Ben are both in, and his bracket will not beat mine.
Yeah, I'm winning all my bracket pools. I'm excited, but thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. Be sure to head over to dfskarma.com. Check out all of our free content. Pick up a core plays package if you're interested in my core plays, Bales, Rube, Joey, Sriracha, who crushes FanDuel, all of our guys' core plays available for as little as $5. And with that being said, good luck tonight, guys.